Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. It is Monday, and here's Rhett's Nut. It's gonna be a crazy week for me this week, and probably next week will be even crazier because we got some very fascinating, interesting things going on at my job, and yeah. So I think everything will be fine with this show on this week, but I bet next week I'll have to miss a few days, which is going to be kind of a bummer. I actually really enjoy my show. I started watching it on the platform, and it's really good for me. I like to revisit a lot of the thoughts that I visit in this show and sort of think through them because it's complicated. Like people have been like, "Can you teach me to code?" And I don't even know what to teach them. Um, it's like one of these things where it's just there's so many moving parts. It's hard to know. And then not only that, but like teaching someone to code when you don't really know the domain that they want to code in is just crazy. I think the whole coding concept and all that is very, very immature, and it's sort of the growth of it got extremely stunted. Um, I think we're experiencing sort of I think we experienced something that I didn't like in 2008. I want to say that was very similar to this, where like the amount of software development jobs in the states just sort of collapsed, like literally went. And I remember the line you used to always hear back then was, "There's a billion English speaking people in India, and now we know how to outsource and have them do work. They don't have to be here to do the work," and all that. Blah 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 blah. That was the story then. Wasn't quite 100% true, but it really was probably also very, very incomplete. Like there's tons of people around the world. I don't even know about populations now that I've sort of dug in a little bit. And realized just sort of as I've aged how things, like, there is in nobody's best interest to undercount, right? Like if you're the mayor of a town, it makes more sense for you to say, "Oh, we have 1 million people in your town, than in your city, than um, oh yeah, we lost 500,000 people, so we only have 500,000 now." Like if somebody lived in your city and they moved to another city, it's in the original city's best interest to continue to count you as living in that city. But then in the next city over, if you moved over to the next city, it's in their best interest to count you too. So then you end up getting counted multiple times. And I think that the numbers are just very grossly overestimated. But I don't know. I really don't. But anyways, that was not the. That's like minimum of what is kind of going on in my head right now. I have another project that I work on a lot. Basically, I think one of the big problems that I have, and I know a lot of other people that have it, and I can literally just look around and see other people that have this problem, is that it's just so easy to go out, get a nice camera, and take thousands, tens of thousands of pictures and videos, and just have gigs and gigs and gigs of stuff, and then like you're kind of stuck. You don't know what to do with it after that. Very difficult to do anything. I do think this is a mom and pop type of problem. This isn't like an institutional problem. So like there's just not a lot of mind power that's been put into solving this problem. Um, but so I'm working on that, and I've been like vibe coding because I would like to build like a local full stack application that then kind of builds out the website that and resizes pictures and does all kinds of crazy stuff, and then uploads the website, which is just sort of like the tip of the iceberg of the entire system. The whole system is really on your local desktop computer, which again is just like not a thing that the institutions of America or the world would have any interest in, but it is extraordinarily interesting and useful to the mom and pop and regular consumers of the world. So, well, like in 2008, we had a very similar thing. And if you looked at the web in like 2003, 2004, basically all it was you click and you go to another page. and you either have a hyperlink or you have a post, and you post and you go to another page, and stuff like that. And basically, once all the institutions sort of pulled out of the U.S., that gave the American, and probably not just the American, probably Europe, because it probably the same thing happened like in France and all the sort of Western countries, yeah, Western countries. Yeah, left is west on the map, so Asia would be to the right, which would be east. So Europe is left. So like all the sort of, I don't know how you categorize them, but basically all the whoever is on like sort of in Europe and the United States and Canada, Mexico, those sorts of places, we all lost all our work. And so then what do? You start working on non-institutional problems or government problems, right? Because the government has kind of been squeezed out lately too. It's very difficult for them to, especially state governments and city governments, to afford computer programmers because all the big institutions, big corporations and all that were sort of sucking up all the resources. So then basically that's when Web 2.0 and web pages started just acting more like regular desktop applications. They would update automatically, stuff like that. And once that kind of came in, all suddenly the institutions just came rushing back into America, and we just had another big explosion. The institutions have kind of screwed everything up, and now they're they're leaving, and we're kind of back to where we were. It sort of gets rid of a lot of the fakers, people who don't know what they're doing. It's going to make the message a little clearer for people trying to become computer programmers and stuff like that. And so we're probably back in a new cycle where mom and pop or Main Street sort of solutions start to become the major, and government solutions start to become the major focus of American and Western sort of developers, and like sort of the Eastern developers who are absolutely brilliant. Um, will focus on like institutional things, and then it'll be good because then we'll likely do some sort of massive innovations. There's definitely a lot of innovations needed around things like cryptocurrencies, blockchain, media management. There's just a ton of things that needed to be done, and so it's going to be kind of nice to have us all working on that again. But anyways, I was sort of vibe coding on that, and I kind of was like trying to add a feature, and when I went to add my feature, ChatGPT gave me sort of a fragment of node code that was didn't work, and so then we kind of went and we figured out, oh, so this node code that I have assumes a certain architecture, and so then I started to kind of redo the architecture, and basically when I changed the way the architecture worked, a lot of existing functionality just broke, just straight up broke, and the lesson learned is that like when you're working on a new piece of functionality, a new feature, you probably shouldn't make big architectural changes. You probably should just do the feature. Then if you discover mid-feature that you really need an architectural change, then you need to make a hard decision. Throw away everything you have on the new feature and do the architecture, or finish up the feature and then do the architecture. But don't try to do them together because it becomes almost impossible to reason about. So I ended up with like literally a couple hundred files, thousands of changes that I had, and nothing was working. And I literally had to bail. And I was actually going to start a brand new project from scratch, but then I realized, oh no, I had like all the bones, and I'd already done a commit and pushed it. And I was like, oh, you know what? I should have done the feature, created a branch, done the feature, merged the branch back into the main, and then created a new branch, and then made the architectural change, and then made sure everything worked in the architectural change, and then um, go back to that, and kind of keep going. Um, so, that was a lesson learned. It was a bit expensive. It took me, it probably lost like 3 weeks of work, um, and a lot of really cool functionality is just gone. So that was kind of a bummer, but I think you learn a lot more from your failures than your successes. So that was a really big failure, and I think I learned a lot. So that's good. Now, like, see, this should generate correct hash for hello. Like, I don't even remember doing that, right? So I'm glad that I have this unit test for that. So maybe unit test would have made a big difference on there. I don't know. Um, I'm still like on the fence on unit tests. But speaking of unit tests, here we are. We have 502 of 512 statements tested, 62 of 67 branches tested, and 136 of 137 functions tested. And we have a gap of between the lines and statements of 3. So apparently, I have never, ever, ever, ever seen it where you have 100% of lines and not 100% of statements, or vice versa. So I feel like they should either get rid of this one or they should get rid of this one. I feel like whatever this is, I don't know, but it definitely messes with my head. So now if everything's 100% except for this visualization service. Visualization service is got everything is wrong with this one. So we have 5 branches. And so something that I also learned as part of this is that I do prefer, and I didn't know this, this is brand new, I do prefer functions over flow. So I'd rather have a function that has one set of of conditions that it checks on and returns a value than a bunch of if thens and stuff like that. Bunch of flow control all thrown together. I know that I have sort of headed down this path in the past, but I used to do almost all my coding on work, um, like a very little like sort of home practice coding, and there were, I, you know, people do not like it, and like having like, oh, okay, this is a function, something that just gets you the length. They don't like that to be a function. They want you to do it in here, like a lot of like developers, young, old, whatever. They don't want a function like say get length or whatever. Now that would be weird in this one because it's literally would be one line, but like basically we were able to take a bunch of if thens, flow control kind of things, and move them into these so that we could see what everything does. And it has made unit testing easier. And it seems to me whenever unit testing is easier, um, whenever unit testing is easier, understanding is typically easier. Not always, not 100%. And I have definitely gone to some places where they had made the unit test very complicated. But I think what I was thinking before is I wanted to create a function to sort of replace all of this. Oh, and in order to do that, I needed to get this row siblings, const row siblings, and I want to pass the const row siblings in there. And I also, I guess, need to pass the current viz in there as well. So what does this thing? And really, all this thing does, like, and this is so nice. I never noticed this before, but where I declared these things in here, I know the only thing that matters is this is available. So basically, all of this is just to determine if something is available. So I want to pass the row siblings and return available. And I think all of this will be broken into its own little world. So let's click in here and just kind of double check that because I didn't do that. So basically we're trying to get this a little bit more under control. And we're kind of focused at this level. And we want to make sure this gets called. So basically, I want to create a function, and it says, I guess, available. Yeah, so we want to get available. And this is actually available. Oh, and that's right. So is row available sort of has a bunch of other functions, bunch of functionality inside of it. So maybe this one would be determine availability. um, the for row. Yeah, so that is okay. So this is like get visualizations, and then it's sort of iterating over each visualization. Oh, okay. And what we're trying to do is determine if a specific row is available. Get visualizations for row. So this is a little bit more specialized. So this is trying to get whether a row is available. Oh, well, and so is this one. So it's not for row, it's for siblings. Get get availability for siblings. So let's try that. I don't know for sure, but we'll just see how that feels. Get availability for siblings. And it is going to return a Boolean. Right? It's basically a true or false. And then, and it's going to definitely, we know it's going to take a set of siblings. And that those are ST rows or ST visualizations. And it's an array of them. And then, okay, and so one of the things we have to do is we have to make sure that it's not the current visualization. So I think it makes sense to pass in the current visualizations. I'm not 100%. Current viz st with. What is this current viz though? So the current viz got passed in there. Oh, okay, so it needs the current visualizations width. So like it can figure out what the right end is, but it doesn't know how wide the current visualization is. So is it, I think it makes more sense to actually pass in a number and call it current visualization width. I think that'll be easier. And then we're going to say the number. So basically, I guess what it's doing is it's going to figure out what the right side of all this, the farthest right position of all the siblings are, and then all the potential siblings. Maybe I'll do that. I'll call it potential siblings, because these aren't necessarily its siblings. They can only be a sibling if it has room for it. I guess this should be potential siblings. All right, so basically, we're gonna make this a let, and we're gonna call it available. And I think it's easier to determine if it's true than if it's false. So I'm going to default it to false. So I'm gonna assume there's no room. The assumption is there's no room unless we determine that there is room. And then basically we want to take this code. We're going to copy it for the moment, just so that if we have to back out of this change, we can. And then we basically want to say available, right? Available is equal to this dot get availability for potentials. And we know we want to pass in our const row siblings, and we want to pass in the current viz dot width. Dot st width. All right, so now this guy knows how wide the current visualization is, and it also knows how it knows the potential, and it actually knows that they're potential siblings, not actual siblings. So it can only become a member of the the siblings if there's room for it, and the not model room depends on how wide the UI is. All right, so we know that this logic is right. We also know that the variable names are wrong. So let's go ahead, hit this. I don't know why it, and actually I don't even want, in this world it just doesn't do us a bit of good to have this comment here. And then just line things up. Oh, we need to pass in the viewport width too. Yeah, I don't think this, yeah, actually this is where this comment goes. And then return available. And then we know we need the viewport width, so let's, and then that's just going to be a number. Width, and then we have a number. Let's see. And then, hi there. We know that is potential siblings. I don't know why this isn't working. It might be that, I don't know, that's weird. I don't know why this wouldn't work. Next available, right. All right, what happened? Did I not? I think that was supposed to, that was commented out up here, wasn't it? No, oh. Oh, did I get rid of something? Okay, let me copy this whole thing. I think I may have deleted something I wasn't supposed to delete. Man, I did a lot of work there. I'm just Control-Zing back because I think I deleted something I wasn't supposed to delete. Okay, so this, apparently when I pasted something, because for, see, get next available. Okay, so I think what I did was I did this. Okay, and then Control V. Okay. I don't know exactly what happened. Potential siblings. And then this is current is width. And then, oh, okay, yeah, I don't need the, oh, viewport width. Okay, yeah, so I fixed that viewport width, but it's not fixed up here. So we need to add that up here. So where we call it, we added a new thing, viewport width. And then, so this is going to do nothing because I still have the original code. So I just want to make sure everything works. I can't tell you how many times I've made like changes and then it didn't work, but I never checked. And then I figure out, oh, my new code didn't break things. It was already broken. It's very, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens often enough that it's like, I think it would just reloaded. Well, maybe things are broken. Let's see. Let's go back down here. I don't know what's going on. just going to bring up a new tab, localhost 4200, kill this one, and see if I can. Oh man, things are in fact broken. Okay, let's look at, and it's real broken too. Looks like I'm in some kind of like infinite loop because it doesn't even want to bring up the exit page. Inspect, control. Let's see, like the whole page has gotten completely responsive. Let me hit save. So let's comment out the code we just did. Hopefully we don't have to just like go back and see if this is how it was. I wish I kind of wish I had started with making sure everything works, because it could have been broken from the very beginning. Okay, vector this again, localhost, add viz, okay. So that's good. So something in here is causing like an infinite loop. And so we call this, I mean, there's really nothing different, but basically I'm just going to comment this out just to make sure. And we'll just sort of start putting lines of code back in and try to figure out where the breakage happens. Okay, so it broke right there. Does not like this being called. I think it is completely broken too. So just literally just calling this line of code breaks things. And it doesn't break it in a... Okay, let's just... Like all I do is return false. So I don't know why this is... Oh. Well, it doesn't even matter, right? Like I assign a variable and then I assign... Oh, but... There's a while loop. Like that. Back out. And then reload or start a new one of these. Kill the old one. Doesn't even want to kill. Ugh. Close 4200. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I really don't understand at all why it's broken. Okay, so when we commented that out, so let's give it a different name. Let's say let, and then this is siblings available. Siblings available. And we never use it, but it kind of seems like literally just calling this function for some reason, get availability, even though this function doesn't do anything, is okay. All right, so we have a little bit of sanity now. So now all I'm going to do is just slowly but surely work through things, make sure. See, this should be, I guess maybe, well, we're not actually, I don't think we're changing that. Okay, now let's see if it's the const end that's breaking things. Nope, so we can call that function. Let's see if this is what's breaking things. let's see if this is breaking things. It's got to be this, right? Like, no. Okay. And siblings available. And then we kind of just left this for fun. So let's comment that out and just say that, did I not, I didn't grab enough. Didn't select enough. And then siblings available. We're just gonna say available equals siblings available. Maybe it was just the fact that one of those didn't like getting like called twice, which is probably not a good sign. Okay, yeah, it is broken now. And I'm guessing I have a while loop in here somewhere. While not found. Okay, so before I had like a count, escape count. Equals 0. And then we're just going to say escape count is equal to escape count plus 1. And then if escape count is greater than 100, so if we've already like, or let's say 1000, then alert. Stuck in while loop. And then I think we can just say break. And that'll get us out of the while loop. Feels like we're stuck in this get available. I think, and I believe this, well, yeah. So only while loop we have. Yep. So somehow we ended up breaking this function, this get next available top. It's kind of funny that it got called twice. Maybe. Okay. Control F, get next available top. So there's only 2 of them, so it only gets called here or here. And this gets called in set get inside of this set calculated position. This is so weird. And then, so if I hit this little button here, it'll kind of take me back to where I was at. So it's so weird though. It's equal to 1000. I don't know. I don't remember being in there. Yeah, so, and that's so weird because, okay, so if I call this and then I call, right, so that code was just supposed to replace this code. So I can call it and I don't think anything gets broken. Okay, so this is going to take some debugging. Yeah, see, nothing gets broken on this. So basically what I want to do is I want to do a console log wrong place. Right here. Console.log, and basically we want to do the siblings available, comma, siblings available, semicolon, and then console log available. These should be the same, but I'm guessing they're not. Available and available. Let's see, it's 8:51, so I've got to get off of here soon. But we definitely have a strange, weird bug, and I'm really hoping that I learned something from it. Okay, so in this case, availability came back true, and these should equal. And so then it ends up getting called again because, so for some reason, this code down here is not returning the same values, even though it's the exact same code. But for some reason, like this function here, for when it finds it, is returning a different number than this when it's getting called, even though they're literally the exact same code. And so it's got to be this compare right to width, but who knows? Let's see. I don't know what happens if I say console.log. So this is just old school debugging here. One thing we do know is that I have a massive misconception right now, and we just gotta freaking come to terms with that. You can't just be like, no, this doesn't make sense, so it's wrong. It's like, no, I'm wrong. Something's wrong, and I'm wrong, and local. And this, like, kind of the way you feel when something like this happens is you've got to get to where you enjoy this feeling. Okay, so those two matched. False. So return, it gets a false back, right? That's what comes back, and then but the local one. So I'm going to call that local. Trying to sort of local, and then try to make this a little bit easier to sort of read. So it's going to call this function. So yeah. So basically, I'm going to kind of get this backwards. I'll get this value after all the like sort of local values get shown. Add viz, inspect, console, add viz. So basically, I got, it's weird. Sib was false, local was true. It's weird. Okay. Oh, because I only care about. Okay, something's weird about the way this comes in. Like this gets called twice. Did I not get rid of the second? So there's my local sib. So how do I end up in here twice? but only here once. So I come in here and I pass in all the row siblings, and then I come in here and I look for the end, and the two ends are the same. They're both 200. I don't understand why this sib AV gets called twice, but I can't quite. Oh, okay. Local AV gets called twice too, though. But the first time they get called, for some reason, this guy gets a false and this guy gets a true. The second time, this guy gets a true and this guy gets a true. I don't know why we get to this a second time, but the two internal values are the same. So right position candidate is, I'm guessing what is that? Is that a number or yeah, that's a number. Local RPC. And then this other one's going to be RPC, not local RPC. Yeah, and after this I have to go no matter what. I just want to see what the value ends up being. So I have that to kind of think through. But I can't even do anything else except for shut down and okay. So my RPC is 400. Okay, so what's blowing my mind right now is that it seems like my oh yeah, that's right. RPC, that's the not the local one. 400 and 400. So they equal 200 and 200, 400, 400. So I'm just going to look at the last thing is this available. That's all that's left is available, right? Yeah, how? So compare right to width in this position is giving something different than in this position. They both pass in the viewport width. They both pass in the right position candidate, but for some reason compare right to width is returning something different. Right and width. Okay. That's weird. I think because that should be true or false, and then that is the whether it's available or not. So I don't know, but I don't have time. We're so close. We're so close to figuring that bug out. But anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.